Say hi, Motion. Say hi.
Hey folks, Spaz here. Just got in from work and I'm doing a little research. Well, all the 2023 EICMA videos are coming in, and I'm not seeing a lot of motorcycles that are really exciting me anymore. You have Yamaha's XSR 900 GP, which has the retro 80s and 90s GP style, but it's built around the MT-09 chassis, or XSR 900, which is built on the MT-09. And then on the flip, Suzuki released their GSX-8R, which is basically their new GSX twin Street Fighter style bike with a fairing. It looks like it would compete closest to Yamaha's R7, which came out a couple years ago, to a lot of fanfare and a lot of press, a lot of pomp and circumstance, got a lot of attention. I saw the numbers and I was a little bit underwhelmed. I wasn't impressed. Maybe a little bit impressed. And I started rethinking an idea I had a long time ago, and I had mentioned on the YouTube channel once before. So, revisiting the idea, the only motorcycle out there that really grabs my attention I don't trust, because they don't have a lot of backing, they don't have a dealership ring, and that would be Buell. Eric Buell, I've had contact with via email and a couple of chats. Seems like a really cool dude. Plays guitar. We all know I play guitar. Loves motorcycles. Was a racer. Was like the epitome of the DIY guy turned privateer racer. And then when he got backing through Harley, we got what eventually became the XB series. And I happen to be fortunate enough to have owned an XB 1200. My complaint wasn't Eric as much as it was Harley Davidson, but well, I'll leave my biases alone. On the flip, the bikes that are grabbing my attention are steeped in a ton of tech. Stuff that my Buell XB didn't have. And so in thinking about what's out there versus what I like, I started digging back into a project idea I had presented to a couple friends a long time ago. Brought it up with another friend who I'd never talked to about it, and he says, dude, you got to go for it. So one of the Spaz Lab projects was to design and build a motorcycle. But I didn't want to just build another motorcycle. I had to have a basis in something. So I started looking up what I could have looked at FIM and gone World Superbike, but I decided let's keep it stateside for now. So I started looking up the Moto America rules for Superbike, and ironically enough, they're very close to World Superbike. Your traditional Superbike nowadays has lead IMUs, ABS, all kinds of digital tech, which I'm not knocking that. I just happen to be an analog buff, going back to my old Buell. One of the things that jumps out at me is the fact that if you're running a 4-cylinder engine, immediately I think ZX-10R, CBR 1000 RRR, screw you Honda, GSX-R 1000R, and Yamaha YZF R1, being that I have to voice again an opinion that the R1 is that top tier without going into the European, where you have BMW S1000RR, Ducati, I don't even know what the newest Panigale is, and some of those other bikes. They're all running inline 4-cylinder engines. Dual overhead cams, whatnot. Cool. Hey, they're making a ton of power and they're exciting to ride. Also found out that currently, Moto America will allow twin-cylinder engines on the Superbike track. And they're allowed up to 1,200 cc's, where the 4 cylinders only allowed 1,000. Okay. I've ridden... Sorry, just got out of work and I'm still dusting myself off. I've ridden more than I care to count inline 4s. I think I've ridden... Let's go with what I've owned. I've had the ZX-10R. That thing was bonkers. I had a CBR 600RR. That was way back when I first started riding on the street. And that bike was fun. I had a GSX-R 750. That bike was amazing. Now, mind you, it was built by a shop before I acquired it, and It was just built to be a race bike, but they kept it street legal. Surprised I didn't lose my license on it. But, I mean, it was a great balance of power versus weight versus street ability versus... It was just a great all-around bike. What do you think, Moon? Yeah, Moonshine's helping me out here. So, going into my idea, well, I love muscle cars. I currently own a Dodge Challenger. I've owned 2 Camaros. Love them both. If I were to list all the motorcycles I've owned, we'd probably be here forever. Yeah, what the heck. I had a 97 FZR 600. I had a 2006 Buell XB12R. I had a 2004 CBR 600 RR, 2005 GSXR 750, a 2012 or 13, I can't remember exactly what it was, Aprilia RSV4. That was the best bike I owned. Also the most expensive. Because I think a GX10R and a GSXS 1000. I definitely like the feel of the twins, having ridden a Ducati back when I worked for a dealership and owned my Buell. Actually tried to trade my Buell for the, at the time, 749S, but couldn't afford the insurance on it. I like analog. As you've seen in my other videos, I use a lot of old school style tube amps that my dad built. You know, the whole DIY thing coming back to, fruition here. With homemade guitars, again, DIY. And I started thinking, I love my muscle cars, I love my motorcycles. What would happen if we locked Daddy Ducati in the garage with a Corvette and they had a baby motorcycle? A lot of people have pointed out to me that you had the Tomahawk, which was a Dodge V10 turned motorcycle. The Boss Hoss, which was a Chevy small block turned motorcycle. Now you're using full car engines there. I was thinking, what if we were to start using something like a redesigned pushrod V8 muscle car engine, but trim it down to just 2 of the cylinders? Parallel twin, my brain has always been very, what's the word I'm looking for? Symmetric. I've always liked symmetry. So the parallel twin, plus when you're riding on a sport bike, there's something unsettling about a piston pointed right at your, yeah. Especially considering I've had motorcycle engines go on me. Again, not going to get into my bias for or against Harley. I mean, they have legacy. I would probably buy an Indian before I bought a Harley. But pistons, connecting rods, valves, rocker arms, push rods. How many things can we get out of the Jags catalog, at which I happen to be looking at my notes and, sorry, this is Summit Racing, at what's available for Chevy small block, Chevy LS, and because I have a Challenger and I love the way the engine feels, the good old modern Hemi. I'm looking at a throttle body for the LS, nice big single intake throttle body, mechanical. So when on a motorcycle, you'd be using, cable actuated throttle body. What would happen if we tried to use some of these parts? Obviously, we'd have to have a custom machined cylinder bank, a custom machined crankcase, custom machined crankshaft, custom machined camshaft. But how many parts can we use out of a motorcycle engine, out of a car engine, to build a motorcycle engine? I apologize. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm tired. I just got in from work. I work full-time at UPS, and that's not my on-call job as a bail enforcement agent. What is sleep? She's cussing me out right now, going, I want to go to sleep. Right, Moonshine? Right? You want to go to sleep? Say. Good girl. So let's explore this idea. I apologize, I haven't been posting. Again, I work for UPS. We're going into the holiday season. Things have been very crazy, and it's only going to get worse. So as soon as the holidays are over, I would like to delve into this deeply. I know it's not going to be cheap, but I think it would be a fun exploration project, and let's face it, if my friend who's a welder told me to do it, my other buddy who's just a mechanical genius who's thought it's a good idea, I'd be in on it. If we order pistons for one Hemi or one LS, or one Chevy small block, as the case may be. On a parallel twin, that's 4 bikes. We order 2 sets of pistons, that's 8 bikes. Obviously, if we're going to pay the money to custom mill an engine case, because on a car you have the block, but on a motorcycle it's a case. You can split apart so you can get inside it. We're going to have to custom make a crankshaft. So here's where I'm going. Let's go back to my notes. Here's where I started coming up with ideas. The math I did, now, do not set this in stone, but this was based on a Gen 3 Hemi using a 4.125 inch piston, 5.618 inch connecting rods. Again, I apologize. I'm looking at my notes here and they're kind of all over the map. But my math comes out to about 1,230 cc's. Now, again, if we're using Moto America specs as a guideline, we can break the rules because we're not going to have the tech to race. And we're kind of going backwards to the early 2000s with like my Buell as a guideline. So, screw competition. Let's just have some fun. Let's get that feeling of a muscle car. Let's get that interaction of cable actuation, and where you don't have a computer saying, "Oh, okay, your throttle's coming on too fast." No, it's if you do something stupid, you're gonna pay for it. It's gonna test the rider. But the nature of the machine is, when you roll on that throttle, it is you connecting to the machine through that cable actuation, not a computer. Again, I'm not going to knock them because I will look at some of the GP bikes and go, yeah, you need a computer to regulate that or you're going to die. But I could go into a lot more elaboration on some of the notes I've got here, which this video is already too long. And I would love to talk to some people who like the idea. I would love to talk to some people that have better mechanical knowledge of me. Wow. Can you tell I'm winging it? Better mechanical knowledge than I. And I would love to talk to some of you people that I'll refer back to my very first video. I'm a mechanical moron. I do have a little bit of knowledge. I can identify what a piston is. I know what a connecting rod is. I know what a crankshaft is. In terms of crank mass and measurement, I have no idea how to get that. How to get the proper valve laps and timing, no idea. So I need mechanical help. And that's where the idea of this community would come in. I have a general idea. Somebody who knows something more than I can say, I know how to do that. Or I know somebody that knows how to do that. And the whole idea is just to have some fun with it. But like, the name of the game would be to build a muscle car based motorcycle, kind of herald back to Eric Buell's idea, but without the idea of racing, because I don't race. I've only done one track day, and that was a long time ago. I would like to get to the point where, if this were possible, because some of the parts, i.e. the valves, the pistons, the con rods, come in sets of 8 or whatever, however, for a V8, and we're all going to be using 2 per engine. There's a motorcycle museum here in Connecticut I would like to donate one to. I have a couple of kids that are learning to ride. I would like them to be able to have, a project that I work on to say, hey, that's my dad. Kind of like I do with my amps that my dad built. Well, that's 1, 2, 1 for me. If we were to build 8 of them, what do I do with the other 4? And that's where you guys come in. I would raffle them off to anybody that helps by donating on Patreon when I get that set up, donating their time to help design it and work out some of the details that I am not aware of how to reach, or the math I don't know how to do yet, and just create something that in my mind would be cool. It'd have to be street legal. I'll do what I need to make DOT requirements so we can ride these things on the street. And at the end of the day, if I get 8 of them and I'm giving away 4 of them, I'd love to meet everybody here in Connecticut and get whoever the winners are on a ride. Sound like an idea? I'm going to do some more math. Please reach out to me here. I'm going to leave a link to my Facebook page where you can actually reach me at SpazLab Concepts. And hopefully, we can, as soon as the holidays at UPS, where I'm a full-time employee, or over actually have time to work on this. Until next time, I am Spaz, and that's Moonshine. Thanks.